This is Betsy Wiersma, and a wonderful thing happened during COVID. We had a COVID baby. A baby, a COVID baby. What are we talking about? Well, while all of us were hunkered down and being safe and being socially distanced, 62 brave women came together to share their story. 62 women said yes to writing a 1,000-word essay to uplift and inspire the world. 62 women brought the ingredients of their best self. Those ingredients were perseverance. Those ingredients were joy. Those ingredients were, gosh, it's such a yummy mix, it's hard to even capsulize them. But they all had one thing in common. Those women with those yummy ingredients mixed together stayed in the crock pot for 4 months and became a most yummy stew. Welcome to the Stew Authors. We are so happy to greet everyone as we are here today, and we are so happy to welcome the world to hear some of the stories behind the scene of the stew. So this was going to be a live event, but because of the COVID opportunity, we get to have a virtual event. And since everything works out in our favor, I think the good news about this is we can be now here live on Facebook and record this so people can hear and meet some of our amazing stew authors. And you said, okay, let's take that story off the table. So the next up is a very special mother-daughter team. It's our only mother-daughter team in the stew. And as we are getting ready for this, Eileen, I'm going to have you set up kind of Holly and explain as I get Holly's PowerPoint ready. And so welcome to Eileen and Holly Forlenza. Would you introduce yourself, and let's first talk about Holly's story.
Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Love Ambassador Studio. This is where what Holly brings to us is just a sense of love and hope. So Holly and I are a duo because as not only a mother-daughter, but Holly is on the autism spectrum and has been unable to verbally communicate in her entire life. Holly is also every day living with many, many, many seizures. She has an implant that controls them throughout the day, but she feels them, hundreds a day. They're fairly mild now, but most of her life she was protected by wearing a helmet and lived a very restrictive life. However, about 10 or 12 years ago, she was gifted with an angel that was in an audience when I was presenting at a special education conference, and I had Holly with me. And at that time, Holly, again, had been completely unable to communicate other than some gestures and whatnot. And there was an angel in the audience who really keyed in on Holly and said, I actually think Holly has literacy skills. And if you give me a chance to work with her, I think I can unlock her communication. So 10 years later, here we are. And not only has Holly been unlocked, but she has been boosted into the world to be an ambassador of love. She wrote her first book in 2012 that was titled, Just Because I Can't Talk Doesn't Mean I Don't Have Anything to Say. And she now has a book agent and she's working on an autobiography, and it is absolutely incredible. I can barely get through some of the chapters that she's already written. It's incredible. So Holly also is every day struggling and working through some issues that her body feels around sensory issues, lights and sounds and feels. And so part of that is when she communicates on a simple little iPad or a keyboard. She prefers a simple keyboard because of the way that it feels. So to prepare for today, Holly has prepared her presentation, and some of the questions that Betsy asked, she already answered. And we'll be sharing those with you. And it looks like right now she wants to say something. So if you could just be silent with us for a moment and let her type a message to you. I love you all very much, she said.
Oh,
so Holly's typing came out of the autism research, and it's called supportive communication. And I'm just simply guiding her hand giving her enough touch that she feels a human connection. And then she's actually typing just one finger at a time like this. So that's the process. And if Betsy, if you have her PowerPoint
I
pulled up.
do. So,
Okay.
so just the backstory too, we have known and stood with Eileen and Holly for many years. Holly has been one of our active camp sisters. She comes to our networking groups. She came and did some of her early work after attending Camp Experience and brought back her CD and her book. So she has been very involved. So through the magic of this, I'm going to share my screen and go to her PowerPoint show. And then Eileen, you can just call for the slide, right? So
yeah, so I think just the first two slides will be fine. And this is just an example of what it's like for me and Holly to communicate together. So it's an animated slide. So Betsy, as soon as you click on it into the slideshow mode.
From the beginning,
yep, now go to the next one. And go to the next slide. Okay, and just hit, yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to read this for the audio recording because many people are watching us on Facebook Live, and those that are listening to this recording. Holly has just typed, "My name is Holly. My Stew article is titled, 'Love is in the Eyes of the People Before You.'"
Great, thank you. And then Holly's going to type out her answer to this question as well.
Okay, and the question was about your overview of the article. Loving yourself is the most important love. Connecting people is connecting love. I think sharing love can only happen after we love ourselves.
Thank you, Betsy. So Betsy, I think we can, that will be fine if you read this one, and then we can go with Holly's current comments.
Okay, awesome. And so the last one of the questions is, what's the big thing you want everyone to know? And Holly has told us, as you can see her typing, women need to stop pleasing other people at the expense of their own joy, which is a really good thing for all of us to take in. For those of you who are watching on Facebook Live and you're thinking, what is going on? Well, this is our friend Holly Forlenza. She communicates through typing. It's a way that she shares her love, and she is with her mom, Eileen Forlenza, here as one of our Stew authors. So what does Holly want to say now? Even though she had prepared remarks, she gets to overturn those remarks.
That's right. Well, I think what's really great, especially in this setting with so many women who have overcome obstacles, is Holly continues to overcome her obstacles pretty much every minute of every day, and yet it never stops her from sharing this sense of love and joy that she has. So I will read to you. She typically has a peer with her that is also trained in facilitation who will read Holly's comments. But since it's just she and I today, I'll read to you what Holly has said. She said that she said, finding your voice is an act of self-love. And you can talk, why don't you communicate? You are helping yourself to grow by asking for what you need. I want to tell people that they are the ones that grow themselves. When Betsy asked the question about what inspired you, Holly's answer to that, and we worked on this yesterday, and so she wanted some time to think. But her answer was, I was inspired by watching so many women be silent. Being silent makes me watch. She's saying being silent herself makes me watch people. I want to help women who have not found their voice. So it's really a tender time with so many of us who find our lives in a place where we're not connecting with people, and Holly needs that connection so much. And so her ability to just hang out today, she had to step out because of the sensory, just too much going on, but her love and her perspective remains with everyone.
Well, thank you, Eileen and Holly, for this beautiful typing words and for being part of the book. And not only did Holly write a wonderful story, you did a story. Would you tell everybody, again, just for the recording, introduce yourself and tell them the name of your story.
Yes, I'm Eileen Forlenza, and my Stew article is titled, Resilience is Our Only Option.
Well, after talking about the story of Holly, many of you probably are jumping to the conclusion, well, yes, the mother of the modern day Helen Keller does have her own story behind the scenes. Tell everybody a little bit about why resilience is our only option.
Yeah, so it's a wonderful story of triumph over a perceived tragedy. You know, Holly was born in '89, and when she was 2, is when she was finally diagnosed with, at that time, severe, profound mental retardation. And I remember the day so clearly because it was the due date of my 3rd kiddo, Cody. So I had a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old with a recent devastating diagnosis, and a newborn. And within 5 months, I was a single mom living in a safe house in a shelter for women, to just be protective over the domestic abuse that I was enduring at home. And through that time, and having a child who could not speak, literally who has no voice, it caused me to go to a deep place of reflection to say, and so what about me? And living in domestic abuse, which is a very oppressive silencer, and then to have a child who can't speak, and to ask oneself as a woman, what am I teaching my kids? What are my other children who are watching alongside with Holly? What is a message that they're getting about not standing up for ourselves? And so we endured poverty. We endured just a lot of hardship being a single mom with 3 kids under 4 years old. I couldn't work because there was no childcare that was able to take care of Holly. She was so medically fragile at the time. And so my rope of hope was my faith, and remaining very active in church and being very active in my prayer life. And just as Holly has taught us now, just connecting with people. And so we just stayed active at church, and I ended up playing softball, and I have been a singer most of my life. And so I got onto the worship team and we had this incredible band, and I was doing lead vocals, and the guy that was up in the sound booth and the guy who was playing shortstop to my third base on the team, as I say in the article, had twinkling eyes for me and my children. And so we had this fairy tale love story where Scott and I married when the kids were 4, 6, and 7 years old. And then we had our delightful, wonderful son, Michael. And Scott and I have now been married for about 26 years. And we have an incredible life, and we've dedicated our life to advocacy for all populations who feel unseen and unheard, whether it's domestic abuse or people living with different levels of abilities, homeless folks, whatever, wherever God calls us to go to support people who feel that their voice is so diluted and so damp that we want to be there to inspire them. So.
Well, Eileen, you inspire all of us, and as does Holly. And, you know, in the shadow of everything Holly needs, I think sometimes, you know, there's you, and you have your own path and your own voice alongside Holly as part of the Holly story. But you also have the Eileen story. And being that mom in the shelter, everyone's listening can just really relate. Who's that mom, right? Who's that mom that's tough enough to have all those kids? Who's that mom surviving and thriving after domestic abuse, that had the guts to get out, to get to the shelter, to survive, and now to be standing in this community for others, alongside of not only your beautiful daughter, but your other children, in a great partnership with your husband, through thick and thin. And I think the thing that came out of your story right now that I wrote down is rope of hope. My rope of hope. And hopefully this Stew book, for all of you listening, Smart Talk Exceptional Women, it's your rope of hope, right? I think you can use it. You get a cup of coffee, you open up the stew, and something that you need is going to be right there waiting for you, right? It doesn't have to be read in a linear fashion, because every story stands alone. Every story designed by our amazing Melissa Labad is a piece of art, and every person here is a gift. So Eileen, thank you so much for you and Holly for the extra technology of showing showing people how Holly types and for your amazing work in the world. The crowd goes wild for you. Ah, yay, Eileen. So to end today, I want to do a shout out to our friend Cindy Tyler. She was not able to join us on the call today. Cindy Tyler's company, Vervante, is the publisher of The Stew. And this is how this worked. I was with a random person one day saying that I wanted to put my art into a card deck. And she was only sent to me for that interaction to tell me, have you heard of Vervante? It's a women-owned publishing company that helps people's dreams come true. And I never ever saw that person again, right? It's one of those angels that dropped into my life to deliver one purpose, to tell me about Vervante. So the great backstory is I call and I say, hey, I'm an artist. I have these angels I've been making. I like to make a card deck. And I've got a marketing idea. What if I put Vervante on the card deck? Can I negotiate a better deal in my printing? And the person on the other end of the phone says, yeah. And I said, well, don't you have to ask your boss about that, or, to get a better deal? And she said, I am the boss. This is Cindy Tyler. I'm the creator of Vervante. I love your enthusiasm. I'd love to partner with you. I'll give you a good deal on your card deck. Let's go. And that was now before 2 card decks, 3 journals, 5 sets of cards, holiday cards, and the creation of The Stew. And this illustration is just to say to everyone listening that it's about the journey and the people you ask for help, right? Christy's got a curriculum, easy for me to say, curriculum coming out in 2021 when you might be listening to this podcast. It's because of everyone standing together that we help each other. We find the resources we need. And it's because of these amazing authors that we have The Stew. So just to recount at the end of our telecast today, The Stew is Smart Talk, Exceptional Women. It is a 200-page art and insight book. The art is mostly by me. There's a couple pieces by others. We can all hold up our Stew books. And the art was done in intention to create a really small book. But when I thought and prayed about it, I heard that book is about your girls. That book is all your girls. So everybody hold up your book. I'm going to snap a quick picture because we are multitasking. This is a so good picture. I got to wait for just a second as Christy gets her book. So this book was created to be a gift to people of the world. It is 62 stories of women who write uplifting insights and ideas, and it is available at campexperience.com/shop. That's campexperience.com/shop. And yes, it is Arts and Insights, The Stew, Smart Talk, Exceptional Women. And it is available at any time. It's available now. It goes to the Vervante bookstore, and you will be able to get your copy. We will have events in the future. Jill has a great idea about a book club event. Christy will help us join together and celebrate as a VIP event as soon as we can join together. And so many of the authors have such good work in the world. So check them all out on campexperience.com/The Stew. And we appreciate all of the time and the energy for the authors coming together in this digital format. We appreciate the heartfelt sharing of your story. We appreciate your love and support for this crazy project. Again, we call out Megan Osgood, the organizer. We call out Carol Calkins and Carrie, her associate editor. We call out Melissa Labad, the amazing designer that made this happen. And we call out and say thank you to all of you who are supporting women coming together for art and insights for the world. This has been your hostess and Stew mother, organizer, curator, Betsy Wiersma, and the authors from The Stew. And we look forward to more times we can come together to share as we do good and have fun. Thank you so much for enjoying this call today, and have a wonderful, wonderful journey in your life, uplifted and inspired by others who are all here happy to help you.